She collected doorknobs in real life, and as Aunt Clara, she once caused a power outage in 12 states and gained widespread recognition for her scatterbrained antics on Bewitched in the 1960s. But Marion Lorne had a 5-decade-long career on the Broadway and London stages and in movies before ever becoming a familiar TV household name. She was a classy, stately, hilarious woman and a brilliant actress. Marion Lorne McDougall was born on York Avenue in West Pittston, Pennsylvania, on August 12, 1883, to Dr. William Lorne McDougall and his wife, Jane Louise. Her father was a surgeon who also operated a jewelry store on Water Street in Pittston, and later in West Pittston at 127 Warren Street. Her mother ran a stationery and bookstore on South Main Street in Pittston, in a hotel owned by her family. Her younger brother, Dr. Lauren T. McDougall, practiced medicine in Tunkhannock. Marion attended West Pittston Public Schools and graduated from Wyoming Seminary. Her first public appearance was May 26, 1900, at Wyoming Seminary as Marion McDougall. Then it was off to New York and the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which at the time was housed at the Lyceum Theater on Park Avenue. She finished in 1904. Later in her career, however, Lorne admitted her family was against her acting. Local papers carried society news of Marion and the McDougall family. Visits home to West Pittston and accounts of parties were duly reported. One such occasion sounded like a debutante soiree at the home of the Marions' cousins, the Thomases of Susquehanna Avenue. The elaborate reception was attended by a large number of leading young people. The house was a bower of luxuriant tropical plants and fragrant bloom. Mrs. McDougall wore black lace trimmed in white. Miss Marion wore a dainty gown of white silk organza. Oppenheim's orchestra played for the dancing. Marion got good reviews for her acting ability from the start. While at the Academy, Pittston papers reported that Mrs. McDougall brought Marion home from New York, fearing she had diphtheria, but it was throat trouble, and the young actress was feeling much better. The papers added that since the young woman became a student, she has demonstrated extraordinary ability. The tutors of the school are highly pleased with her, they read. Young Marion appeared with stock companies in New York and Connecticut and made her Broadway debut in 1905 in Miss Temple's Telegram, followed by Here Tonight, The Devil, and in 1908 she starred in The Florist with Louise Drew. Marion won much favor for her characterization as the gushing bride, said one reviewer. On September 1911, in Jersey City, she married the prolific playwright and producer Walter C. Hackett. Hackett himself was already enjoying success on Broadway. In 1915, the couple went on a delayed honeymoon to London, where one of Hackett's plays was being staged. They decided to stay. Lorne wanted to play in the West End, so Walter wrote a play for her. Walter wrote most of his plays especially for Marion, and she starred in them from 1915 through the 1930s. They included It Pays to Advertise, White Sister, He Didn't Do It, Captain Applejack, Hyde Park Corner, The Gay Adventure, and Other Men's Wives. In London, Walter earned the nickname Long Run Hackett due to the popularity of his plays, with over 20 of them running for over 100 performances, all featuring Marion Lorne. Their plays were hit after hit. The majority were comedies. To English playgoers, Hackett was that New Yorker who writes those delightful, breezy American plays. It was in London that Marion began to sharpen and patent her fidgety, comedic eccentrics. The characters her husband created for her seemed to be in the Aunt Clara mode. In her long career, she played everything, but comedy was her favorite. People seemed to like this vague, silly woman, she said in years later. London papers were filled with rave reviews of Lorne's performances, bits about her life, and interviews with the star. They featured photos of Marion in her primrose kitchen, checking on the tea cakes in the oven, or slicing oranges, printed her recipes, or quoted her on the benefits of hiking. There were photos of the Hacketts with their dog Ambrose. In 1937, the London Daily Herald provided this touching glimpse of the devoted couple. Miss Lorne never goes out after the show. She and Walter go straight home together. He always sits in the wings while she acts, no matter how long the run of the play. Miss Lorne has a large personal following, chiefly because every woman sees herself in her at one time or another. She appears so helpless, and she turns out to be so very clever in the end. During their time in London, the couple co-founded the Whitehall Theatre and were associated with the Duke of York's Theatre and the Apollo. Their apartment at Stratton House in Piccadilly had a view of Buckingham Palace and St. James. "People won't believe it when I tell them about the Whitehall," Lorne once told an interviewer. With World War II raging in Europe, the couple tried to return to the United States. They finally arrived in New York aboard the ship County Savoia on May 6, 1940. Then, in 1944, Hackett died unexpectedly after a brief illness. After her husband's death, Lorne considered retiring, but was lured back to the Broadway stage by the play Harvey, which was a smash hit, running for over 1,700 performances. The role of Beta Louise Simmons was the perfect vehicle for Lorne's comedic genius. In 1950, Lorne appeared in her last Broadway play as the grandmother in the musical revue Dance Me a Song, which closed after 1 month. While she appeared in several Vitaphone short films, including Success, starring Jack Haley in 1931, Lorne's feature film debut came in 1951 in the legendary director Alfred Hitchcock's immortal psychological thriller, Strangers on a Train. At that time, Lorne was in her late 60s. She made a definitive impression as Robert Walker's clueless, smothering mother. Hitchcock was still in London, making his mark in movies, when Lorne was the toast of the West End. After Strangers, Hitchcock was asked to compare Lorne in London to any American actress, Tallulah Bankhead, Helen Hayes. He replied, "All of them put together and more. She was more than an actress in England. She was an institution."
What's the matter?
Oh, I'm all right. Don't worry about me.
But you look so pale, dear. Are you out of vitamins?
I took a bottle yesterday, Ma. A whole fifth.
I do hope you've forgotten all about that silly little plan of yours.
Which one?
About blowing up the White House.
Oh. Besides, what would the president say?
You're a naughty boy, Bruno.
Surprisingly, after that auspicious beginning, Hollywood never took advantage of her great talent. She only appeared in 2 more films. In 1955, Lorne appeared in The Girl Rush as Rosalind Russell's relative, who was coincidentally named Aunt Clara.
I'm looking for a Miss Tremaine. Kathy Tremaine.
She's on stage. You can't go there. Step back. Back.
Marion wisely turned to TV, even though she admitted being a coward when it comes to a live television show. For the remainder of her life, Lorne played supporting but memorable roles on television, where many of the programs aired live on stage. She first became popular with American TV viewers on Mr. Peepers from 1952 to 1954. She portrayed the perpetually confused junior high school English teacher, Mrs. Gurney.
Boo.
Ah, Mrs. Gurney, come in.
But you know, I didn't know if your films were 3D or not, you know.
You couldn't frighten anybody if your life depended on it. You have too much je ne sais quoi.
Oh, my goodness, I've got to go back on my diet again. Oh, lovely lovely, lovely. That's so delicate.
So glad you enjoyed.
Oh, yes. Well, look here, now go on and play something else, do.
Well, very well, on one condition that you sing.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Well, I'll try.
Oh, good scout. What key?
I beg your pardon?
What key do you sing in?
Oh, all of them. I mean...
You sound like an E flat.
Oh, bless you.
Lorne said of her role, "I'm a nervous type, as you might have realized, and working in Mr. Peepers doesn't make me any less nervous. It takes me a long time to learn a part. And here, every week I have to learn a new one, and sometimes they're still rewriting it up to the last minute." If she was nervous about television, she proved what a great actress she was over the next few years, winning fans and Emmy nominations. In 1957, she was a dithery delight as the wealthy, globe-trotting Mrs. Banford in the NBC series Sally. Even though the series was not renewed for a second season, Lorne received her third Emmy nomination for Best Supporting Performance in a Series. In 1958, television viewers got to see Lorne once again bring Beta Louise Simmons to life. The DuPont Show of the Month adapted the Broadway hit Harvey for TV with a stellar performance by Lorne. The 1.5-hour live show also featured a young Elizabeth Montgomery, and as Elwood P. Dowd, Art Carney. In a strange coincidence, Carney and his wife were in West Pittston frequently in the early 1970s to visit his wife's uncle on Philadelphia Avenue.
Myrtle, easy.
Oh, dear.
Get her some tea, Myrtle. Do you want some tea?
Get her some tea, Mother. Get her coat off, Judge.
Myrtle, get your coat off, Vita. Get her coat off, Myrtle.
No, now leave me alone. Just let me get my breath.
Let her get her breath, Judge.
Oh, let me sit here a few minutes and let me go up to my own bed where I can let go.
What happened to you, Mother?
Judge, you've got to sue them. They put me in and let Elwood out.
Oh,
What's
Mother.
this?
But why? What did you say? You must have done something.
I didn't do one thing. I just told them about Elwood and Harvey.
Well, then why did they keep you? I don't understand it.
Well, I told them about Elwood and Harvey, and then I went down to get his things. And as I was walking along the path, that awful man stepped out. He was a white slaver.
What?
Oh, I know he had on a white suit. That's how they advertised.
A man? Well, what did he do?
What did he do? Well, he took hold of me. I didn't.
Go on, Beta Louise. Go on, girl.
Poor Mother. Was he a young man?
Myrtle May, perhaps you'd better leave the room.
Now I should say not. Go on, Mother.
What did he do, Beta?
Well, he took me upstairs and tore my clothes off.
Oh, did you hear that, Judge? Go on, Mother.
I'll sue them for this.
Well, and then he dumped me down in a tub of water.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Oh, Judge, you know, I always thought that what you wear showed in your face. Don't you believe it? Don't you believe it, Myrtle? Why, that man took hold of me like I was a woman of the streets. Oh, but I fought. Oh, I always said if a man jumped at me, I'll fight. Now, haven't I always said that?
Mother's always said that, Judge. That's one thing Mother's always told me to do.
Yes. Well, he took hold of me, and they began to treat me like a...
Like a what?
Oh, Judge, you better clean that place up. You better get the authorities to clean it up.
From 1958 to 1964, she was on CBS's popular Gary Moore Show, which launched the careers of many singers and comics, including Carol Burnett. She played herself in fluttery roles and comedy sketches on the weekly hour-long show, filmed at what is now the Ed Sullivan Theater on Broadway.
Good evening. My name is Marion Lorne. What's my line?
Miss Lorne, dear, I've got a secret.
Oh, you have... Tell me about it. I didn't know.
Moore said of her offstage she was somewhat like she was on stage, although I do not mean she wasn't intelligent. But she was charming and childlike. You wanted to baby her. I've just come back from New York from a trip to Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Nebraska, and everywhere I went, people asked me about Marion Lorne. In later years, Lorne remembered her time with more. People come up to me now and call me Aunt Clara, and a lot of them still call me Mrs. Gurney. I must say, I really enjoyed it during those years with Gary, when at least they called me by my name. Then in 1964, Lorne dropped into Bewitched as the lovable but confused Aunt Clara, creating a character for all ages. In 28 episodes over 4 seasons, she conjured up one sitcom mess after another. By all accounts, the Bewitched cast and crew loved and respected Lorne as one of the grandes dames of the theater and a true professional who rarely muffed a line when the cameras were rolling. Writers and directors tried to arrange the shows, so there was always a script for her to do. The producer, Bill Asher, said, "She's a big, big part of our show." When the character of Aunt Clara came into being, Lorne was the only one they ever thought of. Star Elizabeth Montgomery called the contribution she made to the show incredible. In her book, Twitch Upon a Star, Montgomery recounted a personal moment. One day she received a frantic phone call from Marion, who thought that with a wave of her arm she was operating her hotel room TV. But Marion had not acquired Aunt Clara's magic powers. After close inspection, Montgomery figured out that Marion's bracelets were somehow on the same frequency as the remote control. In 1967, Lorne appeared in her third and final film, the iconic The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman.
No.
Hello.
Oh, you must be one of the porters.
No, actually, I'm not.
Yes, I'd like you to meet my sister, Miss DeWitt.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Witt?
In 1968, Bewitched aired an episode titled Samantha's Secret Saucer. In it, Aunt Clara's magical bumbling turns Tabitha's toy space saucer into a real one. That was Aunt Clara's final spell. Lorne died of a heart attack in her Manhattan apartment on May 9, 1968, at age 84, just before the start of production for the show's 5th season. She was irreplaceable. Just 10 days later, Lorne won the Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series posthumously. A tearful Elizabeth Montgomery gave a touching acceptance speech on her behalf. "There is no way to replace Marion," she said. "I wish, and I'm sure you all do, that she was here."
Here, saucer. Here, saucer. Now, you naughty little saucer, you come right back here. Flying saucer in darkest night. Harky, land within my sight.
It's pink.
Full moon, tide rise, shrink this saucer back to size.
It's still big.
Tabitha, it's definitely past your bedtime. Come, dear. But I'll be back.